had lost Aisha as a person, and I just didn't know how I'm going to do this. Like, I still want to be able to enjoy life that people are very reluctant to get behind me as well, or affiliate with me, because like, I see the clips, but I don't know. Why does my platform exist? What my platform should be doing, which I don't really appreciate. That people are going to want to see other people fuck with you heavy first before they get involved. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. This is not BBC News. This is not CNN. This is not an interview with Aisha. This is the Bride's Room. Anybody that expects anything more, I think this might be the wrong platform for you, honey. I actually have probably a lot more vendors than I do have brides and couples now in my views, and they're waiting for like, when is she going to talk about me next? And it's not even that I'm trying to. People come, they share their story. If you fucked up, they ain't got nothing to do with me. Vendors DM me like, you need to be more balanced. No, I don't. This is the Bride's Room. Stop taking it so seriously. Like one thing I learned in this process, that you can be justified in making a decision, but at the end of the day, at what cost? First things first, your girl is pregnant. I am pregnant. Yeah, I'm pregnant.
Congratulations. It's a baby boy.
You're watching this episode, by the time you guys are watching this episode, I would have had my beautiful baby boy, and I won't be in this country. I will not be in the UK. I will be in Switzerland, enjoying time with my family, taking time off from the pod, taking time off from recording. So I really wanted to make sure that my goodbye-ish message for now is an amazing one. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Okay, guys. Guys, so welcome back to the Bride's Room. You guys know who I am, but if you don't, if you're new, if you've just discovered my channel, I am Authentic Aisha. I'm the founder of the Bride's Room. And this episode's a bit of like a goodbye for now kind of episode. I'm kind of really sad that I have to take a break. But what I decided to do today is a bit of a different episode. Today is a solo episode. Today is all about moi, and just reflecting. The Bride's Room is officially 1 year old, guys. Yeah, you heard right. 1 year old, and it's been 1 year of chaos, but so much fun at the end of the day. And on the way to the studio today, I decided to usually in my episodes I usually like ramble on, right? I usually just kind of like, there's no format to gist, right? So I kind of just jump into things and I just talk, and whatever happens. But today I really wanted to actually articulate my thoughts, because it has been a very eventful year for the podcast. And I really wanted to make sure that I just hit on some points and some of the questions. And now, actually, funnily enough, I was actually meant to film this episode about 2 weeks ago. But anyway, by the time this episode comes out, this would have been probably like a good 2 months from now. But by the time this episode comes, but anyway, the point I'm trying to make, I was meant to film this 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, I didn't get to film. And so I did ask people to ask me questions, and I still will answer those questions at some point in this video. But I just want to talk about a whole bunch of things because this is a wedding podcast. And when do you ever hear us like just make space for the lover girls and the lover boys, right? So I think in order for us to really make sense of things first is not address, but like, who am I? You guys really need to understand who am I and why am I so passionate? Like, why am I so dedicated? Like, I need you guys to understand that as much as I love this and I do this for fun, I am so passionate about weddings. I am so passionate about marriage as a whole. But like, I literally was one of them girls that dreamt of just wearing the dress and the veil and walking down the aisle and just like everything being so beautiful. I really romanticized what it would be like to be a bride. And when my time came, thankfully, I milked it. I really milked the experience, but I really know I could have got more out of the experience that I had. That's why the Bride's Room was birthed, and that's why I've created this space, because there was nothing like it, and there still isn't anything like it. You know, my experience is my experience, and it's unique to me, and that's what I love. But in order for you guys to understand, I guess, the Bride's Room and what the podcast is about, I guess I kind of need to take you on a journey with me, right? So for me, my journey of love began in 2020. So in 2020, my fiance, Leslie, at the time, who's now my husband, he proposed to me in Dubai in 2020. And when I say in 2020, we're talking peak pandemic, like you're not allowed to travel. We're talking COVID tests being like, I think they were about like $250 to like £500 at the time. We are talking big money. But you know, if you are a true lover, you're going to find a way to make things work. And in this case, my husband did. You know, he surprised me at the airport. I was like, yeah, we're going to Dubai. I think it was his birthday. So it was his birthday at the time. And like 3 days before, he was like, should we just go on a trip? And I was like, yeah, why not? And he was like, yeah, no, like, let's go to Portugal. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, like, it's like, yeah, pack a bag. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Pack the bag, get to the airport now. Met him there, got the tickets, we're off. But at the time, I'm like, oh my God, like, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Basically, I had found out that the tickets actually said DXB. So I'm like, what? Wait, hold on. This is meant to be Portugal, but it's your birthday. So maybe you just wanted to like upgrade because you wanted to celebrate your birthday, right? So in my head, I'm like, oh my God, he's going to propose. But at the same time, it had been a long year of waiting. I think a long, like 2 years I'd been waiting. Crazy that I think about it now. I was 26 when he did propose. But anyway, and I was just like, okay, let me try not to freak out on the outside, but on the inside, I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to propose. And I haven't even got the kind of outfits that I would have even wanted for a proposal in my bag. But anyway, I digress. Get to Dubai. We stayed at the time, it was the Five. So at the time, I think the Five is still popping now. I don't know if it is still that girl, but at that time, the Five was that girl. And so we had checked into like this amazing suite with the most amazing view, and everything was just amazing. You know, yeah, it was just amazing. But I didn't want to get too carried away because once again, I didn't know if it was happening on this trip. But it just felt very, you know, it just felt good. But on that trip, I found out eventually that he had dinner reserved. Dinner was actually on a yacht. So we went on a yacht, had a view of like the most amazing, like skyscrapers in Dubai, view of the Atlantis at the time, and it was a nighttime, like really romantic cruise through the ocean. Anyway, long story short, on the yacht, he got down on one knee. He asked me to propose to him and to marry him, and I don't recall hearing anything he said, unfortunately, but I just remember seeing the ring, and I was like, yes. The best feeling in the whole wide world. And it's one of the feelings that I feel like every girl deserves to have. yeah, I just feel like every girl deserves to feel that feeling of like, wow, like I'm about to marry the love of my life. Like I've waited forever for this moment and it's finally happened. And it was just such a beautiful feeling. I cannot describe to you how that feeling feels. But I just remember just crying my eyes out, just being so happy, like, oh my God, yes. We're going to start a life with you. We're going to have some kids. We're going to like buy a house together. We're going to do so many amazing things together. And even thinking about it now, it's actually making me quite emotional again. It's like, wow, like I actually met the love of my life, guys, do you know? Anyway, I don't want to make it all about that, but that was what triggered the whole wedding planning journey for me, right? Which was my husband at the time, or fiance at the time, proposed to me. So then we moved forward, and Dubai's happened, most amazing time of my life. And then I always wanted to be one of those girls that got married within a year. However, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, a lot of things were just not available. A lot of vendors I think their businesses had closed down, so they had gone bust, or a lot of vendors just like, for example, venues, for example, they weren't taking any viewings. So we weren't even able to view any venues, even if we wanted to at the time. Wedding dress shops, like all the shops were closed because shops just full stop were closed. I think it was only necessities at the time. So that really impacted my planning experience. And then by the time things had opened, we probably only had about 6 to 8 months to plan the wedding. And I personally, I just felt like that was a lot of pressure, and it just felt rushed. And I felt, considering I'd been with my husband for so long before as boyfriend and girlfriend, I really wanted to just make sure we get it right. Like I'm not like, at the time I just felt like, how can I have been with you for so long and we're just going to rush this? There's no way. Like, no. So we pushed our wedding date back, our initial wedding date back to April, and therefore we ended up getting married in April 2022. So it was a lovely, nearly 2-year process of us planning a wedding together, husband and wife. And what I had learned in that journey was just, so imagine going from how I felt in Dubai, like literally fireworks is all I could see, like love hearts is all I can see. Like I am on cloud. If there was cloud 9, I'm like on cloud 100. Yeah. And yeah, it just having that feeling, but then you now start engaging with people, or you start engaging with potential vendors, and the feeling that I had where it's like, I'm so excited, I'm so in love, I'm so happy to start this journey of life and celebrate this moment in my life. It was just such an underwhelming experience. And this is probably where like my passion comes from. And this is why I'm so dedicated to not educating, because I just want to create a space for people to actually feel seen. But we'll get into that in a second. But the point that I'm trying to make is that the experience was not given, guys. Like, so people would have seen like this amazing engagement on Instagram and thought, oh my God, like life must be so amazing for this couple. I'm not going to specifically say myself and my husband, because like so many people get engaged, but you'd look at them and you'd be like, oh my God, like it must be so amazing. And whilst the feeling is amazing to be proposed to, and is amazing to say yes and be someone to actually accept your offer of proposal as well, it's ghetto once you start planning. It's really, really ghetto, and I don't understand why it has to be that way. I think historically it's always been that way, and people have always, when I say people, let me use the word vendors, have always banked on couples not speaking out historically. And so for a long time there's been this notion of just do whatever you want, because at the end of the day it is an unregulated industry. So I then started my podcast. In the same year, so I got married in 2022, started planning. I then had a child in the same year. So not only was it a case of like, okay, marriage, but then I've now been thrown into being a wife and a mother all in the same year. And whilst 2022 was one of the most beautiful years of my life, I think how that really shaped what my 2023 looked like as a person. Because now I'm not planning a wedding. Now I'm not pregnant anymore. I'm just this girl, and I'm rediscovering myself, and I'm trying to understand, okay, this new Aisha, how is she going to navigate through the world, right? And it took me some time. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like it was easy, because it wasn't. Like, doing all of those things, like, people really underestimate what it takes to start a family, because when you're getting married to someone, you essentially are saying yes to building a life with them. But what it takes and what is required to get to that level of building a happy home and a safe space for yourself and your family, it takes a lot of work. But then at the same time as well, as a woman with ambition and goals, you just don't want to get lost in that as well. And I found myself, maybe for like 2 months, which is not, I mean, it could be longer for some, but I would like to thank God for the people that I have around me. But I did feel like for a few months, like, I was just lost. I was just lost in terms of like, who is Aisha? What am I passionate about? Why am I here? Do you know what I mean? And whilst I love being a mum, and at the time loved learning how to be a mum, it was really hard and really emotional, because I felt like I was losing myself. And I'm sure you guys would have heard of like other mums that have like gone into motherhood and they're like, oh my God, you know, you can lose yourself for a very long time. But I had all of these amazing life events happen in a very short space of time that, like, I also couldn't dwell on losing myself, because I was kind of still celebrating being married and being a mum. Do you know what I mean? It hadn't even been a year yet. So anyway, let's then move on to that. So in the same year, I actually then decided to start a podcast, because the reason why I actually started the podcast, and a lot of people don't know, but if you came to my live show, I actually said this at my live show, but the reason why I actually started my podcast was because of postpartum. I don't want to say I had postpartum depression, because I feel like that might be a reach, and possibly even, I don't want to say disrespectful to others that have gone through it, and it is quite a serious issue, but I do feel like there was a part of me that was heavily fighting falling into being depressed, right? Because you, as what I would like to think anyway, as like this hot girl, you know, I've gone from being young, fly, hot, sexy, thinking I'm that girl, to then becoming a wife, trying to understand what a wife is, but then what kind of wife I want to be, and then being a mum, and then wait, what kind of mum I want to be. And then there is a part of you as well that looks at the father of your children, and for me anyway, I just kind of felt like, oh, but your life still gets to be the same. How come my life has changed? But that's just the reality. Like, I'm the mum, I'm the primary care, I'm the one that's breastfeeding. Like, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? But ultimately, how I felt was I was taking out all my emotions on the wrong people. And I didn't like that about myself. I didn't like the fact that just because my life had changed, I could feel myself kind of going into this level of this level of misery and bad vibes. And I don't like to feel that way, you know? I like to feel good as much as possible, just like anybody else, to be fair. But for me, I really do make it a big thing in my life. Like, if the moment something doesn't make me feel good, or I don't feel good in something, I need to let go of it. However, in this case, it's because I have a child. I'm not going to get rid of my child, obviously. But yeah. So anyway, what happened? Yeah, there were just days where, like, I would just cry, or I would just be emotional. I just wouldn't feel pretty. Thinking about it now, it's just so emotional. Bear with me 1 second, guys. But like, I really felt low, and I really felt like I had lost Aisha as a person. And I felt like I'm still young. Like, I still want to be able to enjoy life and still be able to achieve the goals that I want to achieve, but I just didn't know how I'm going to do this. So anyway, I don't even know what happened. I don't even know how I fell into it, but I think I always made a point of, after the wedding, I actually want to somehow be in the wedding industry. But I know that I don't have the drive to like show up to events every weekend, or be like some sort of coordinator, even though I know I probably could do it and I could do a great job. at it. I don't have the passion to like really be running up and down every weekend. It's not for me. I don't have the energy to like even like work on a like deadline and like turn around things for other people and have to listen to what they want to say. However, I knew that I still wanted to make some sort of impact in the wedding industry. And I don't know what it was. I think it was God. There was just a day where I woke up and I was like, you know what? I want to start a podcast. And so I started. Did I even start my podcast? I think my husband came home from work one day and I was like, babe, I'm going to start a podcast. And in that moment, the beauty, and I think this is the beauty of, because I've spoken about like the dark parts of kind of becoming a mum for me, but what also is a positive of becoming a mum for me is that there's a certain level of not giving a fuck. And sorry, excuse my French, but there's a certain level of not giving a damn what anyone thinks. Yeah. Because if I had a C-section. So if I can literally be this close to death, make it, come back, bounce back, look this good and feel this fly at certain times. No one can chat to me. I am untouchable. And so maybe not untouchable, but like you cannot, there's nothing you can say to me in this moment in time that will not allow me to believe that I am not a bad bitch. I am. Yeah. I have just had a baby. I am that girl. I am that woman. I am exactly who I think I am. And so anyway, I told my husband, listen, I want to start a podcast. And I'm the kind of person, it's like kind of like with or without you. My husband knows this about me, but like with or without you, I'm going to do something if I'm really passionate about it. And so he could see I had that energy in me, but I thank God anyway, he's quite supportive anyway. So he's like, yeah, run it. Let's go. And I kid you not, that was the beginning of the Bride's Room. And now let's get into what exactly is the Bride's Room, because I think in the last year, when I reflect back to how the Bride's Room has been over the last year, I can acknowledge that there has been like some misinterpretation as to what I am doing with my platform. Why does my platform exist? What my platform should be doing, which I don't really appreciate that, because if it's so easy, you come and do it then. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, in the last year, there's just been so many like question marks. And obviously when there's something new, when you're being a disruptor in the industry, when you are new and people are unsure, they're not going to want to touch it. They're not going to really want to affiliate with it fully or like, make too much noise because they're unsure. And it's just the reality of the world that we live in. People are going to want to see other people fuck with you heavy first before they get involved. That's just the way the cookie crumbles. And fortunately, I had a nice runway, because there's no one in front of me that anyone can compare me to that was doing what I was doing at the time, or I'm currently doing. And at the same time, what that also meant is that people are very reluctant to get behind me as well or affiliate with me, because like, I see the clips, but I don't know. So anyway, so let's get into what the Bride's Room is, because I think it's really important to have that conversation, right? So first things first is that I am a podcaster. Yeah. I'm not a journalist. I'm not someone that, whilst I talk from my own lived experience of being a bride, I am not in any capacity a wedding expert. So I'm not here to like share tips and tricks. I think there's a lot of that already. Like if you go on TikTok, there's brides every day, like sharing their experiences of this is how I proposed to my bridesmaids and this is how I went to Turkey and this is what I do. Like, and I think that's amazing. I think that is needed. But what I actually really wanted to do was create a safe space for couples to vent, because I do remember, and I'll try and find the tweet, when I got engaged, I was like, okay, is there any type of support group for brides? And the answer is no, there isn't, right? But at the same time, how do I bring this to life? And I felt like a podcast is the best format to do that, because once again, I am someone that likes to work smart, not hard. So I couldn't see myself doing like the whole like blog forum type of thing, but like a virtual podcast I could get behind. But anyway, so I created this space, and I'm very intentional with with just making it fun. So making some of the topics that we talk about, making them very lighthearted, but at the same time, they are serious. They are serious. Like, the money that we talk about is not a joke. People don't actually understand how many jobs a person had to pick up and how many things or moments they had to miss out on in life because they wanted to afford a certain vendor or afford a certain experience for themselves or their guests or whoever it may be, right? And we have to take it back for a second, the information that I share. And mind you guys, this is a brain dump, so there's no structure to what I'm saying. I'm just literally just dumping whatever's in my mind. But imagine just for a second, yeah, because I really need to put into context for those of you that are brides or grooms to be, and even vendors that are also brides and grooms to be, and even if you're not, but just someone that's just listening, interested in this whole thing, yeah. Imagine, yeah, for years, let's just say like in a 5-year time frame, you have gone on several dates, you have kissed so many frogs, you know, you have almost got there for, oh my God, I found the love of my life, only to be crushed again. And to have your heart broken and to go through that feeling of heartbreak and to really at one point just feel so low and just ask God when. You know that saying? God, when? You ask God when every other time and you're just like, God, when is it going to be my turn? Until one day God presents to you your bone of bone, your flesh of flesh, your partner in life. They have, for whatever reason, decided that they want to do life with you. And now you are here. You are ecstatic. You are excited to just, plan. And because of the experience that you've had, because of all those heartbreaking moments, this wedding that you're about to plan is going to be so sentimental to you. And I really need people to understand that feeling. So it's not just about, oh, I got a ring and wow, like I want to plan and I'm just excited. No, it's like, no. My journey has been so chaotic. And that's just dating. Like, we haven't even added like being broke on top of that, or, you know, losing a loved one on top of that, or losing a job, or just, you know, just the things that happen in life. Yeah. It all shapes you and molds you. And when you start planning your journey, it becomes a very sentimental thing. It's a very sensitive thing. It's a very touchy area because you've always envisioned it to be a particular way. But unfortunately, sometimes it just doesn't work out how, like, reality doesn't match what's in your brain. And that's fine. But what I wanted to do and what I am doing is creating a space for people to just come and vent. So it's like in their mind, they expected it to be one way. It didn't end up being another way. And as you've seen, I've probably had about at least 10 brides on my show since the beginning of this show. And I'm really grateful to God that, you know, these people have, they believed in me and they have come and they've shared their stories. And the feedback that we've had from the bride's room has been amazing. But anyway, to address what the bride's room is, this is a space to gist. This is a podcast. Yeah. This is not CNN. This is not BBC News. This is not come and interview with Aisha. This is the bride's room. When you go into the bride's room, when you go into it's like when you go to your sibling's room, right? Or when you go into your bestie's room or your bestie's house, you go, you sit on the sofa, you gist. Yeah. The only reason why I haven't been able to like drink that much on most of the episodes is because I'm pregnant. So, you know, by now I feel like I can actually talk about it, but I've been pregnant, so I haven't been able to like incorporate like champagne and stuff, which is like one of my favorite drinks, if you haven't gathered by now. But yeah, I haven't been able to do that. But the whole essence is just for girls and guys to just come, like, let's take a drink. Let's just chill out. How you feeling, bro? How you feeling, sis? And that's it, really. I think anybody that expects anything more, I think this might be the wrong platform for you, honey. Expecting me to be some sort of like information hub, but I'm not trying to be that. I'm not trying to be a directory. There's so many of those available if you want one. There's so many review pages of if you want that. That's not me. That's not what this podcast is. And I really want to even just help you guys understand now that that's not what it will be. So, you know, Sorry to disappoint if you thought that this was something else. It's not, but I'm really, really happy for those that do understand. And the one thing that I'm really, really happy about is the fact that I've actually built my own community anyway. Like, in the space of a year, I've built my own community with all of these amazing brides. So like, if you follow me on Instagram, like I really enjoyed the early days where like I would have like 10 people just watching my stories, and like we would just chop it up and just share funny stories and stuff. And we would just get each other, like we would just get the stresses of like, oh, like I altered my dress, but the designer got it wrong. Or like, I saw a person, I went to a wedding and the decorator ran away. And like, I just really loved those days. But obviously as time goes on, as you get bigger, you know, things change. You have some eyes that are new and they're just there to pre. They just want to see like, oh, what's the next scandal going to be? And then funnily enough, I actually have probably a lot more vendors than I do have brides and couples now in my views. And it's almost like they're waiting for like, when is she going to talk about me next? And it's not even that I'm trying to. People come, they share their story. If you fucked up, they ain't got nothing to do with me. Do you know what I mean? But yeah. So that is the bride's room in a nutshell. That's why I started what I started. Like I said, I'm just doing a little brain dump. It's been a crazy roller coaster of the year. I would have hoped by now you guys would have gathered. I don't care to fit in. And I think that's also something that a lot of people, especially if you're new to me as a person, because I get we're all trying to still get to know each other, but I don't really care to fit in as much as I am somebody that, you know, I'm respectful and I'm kind. That's as far as it's going to go. Like, I don't think I'm going to really, it takes a certain level of confidence to do what I'm doing. So, you know, I think it's fair game. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm out of breath because of the baby, if you haven't gathered. But yeah, I don't take myself too seriously as well. Like, I really like talk about serious issues here, but like at the same time, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are so many stories that I really do believe that I've scratched the surface with a lot of these stories. Like, remember, when you're watching these episodes and you're watching people sit on the couch here and share their lived experience, for the most of my guests anyway, this applies to, remember that this person is only cramming at least 1 year of events into a 20, 30, 40, 60-minute episode. So there's a lot of things where I just feel like everyone should just be more listeners rather than weighing in and giving their opinions, especially if you have not planned a wedding. Not because, you know, you're not a smart person or whatever, but you don't know what experience your experience is going to be like. You don't know how crazy your family is going to be at the time. You just don't know until it's your turn. And so I think it's always important to just be a listener rather than someone that is like, oh, well, la, 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 giving your 2 pence every 2 seconds. It's not needed. And once again, this space is for people to vent. So just listen. You know, when someone is upset about something, just be a listener. You don't need to be like, well, I don't agree and la, 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 la. Anyway. So that's that. So that's been the bride's room. 1 year of chaos. Like, it has been vendors DMing me like, oh, you need to be more balanced. No, I don't. This is the bride's room. The bride can invite whoever she wants. And if I want to invite my friends who happen to be mostly people getting married, then that's what I'm going to do. I think there's so many pages already of like telling couples how to book their bouquet and their cake and their this, and this is what you should do, and 5 steps to do this and 10 steps to do that. Why can't we just have a space to bitch and moan? Like, stop taking it so seriously. Like, so let's talk about the positives as well about the bride's room. What I've loved so much about the bride's room is the fact that at the end of the day, this is a space for lover girls and lover boys. If you are consistently watching my content, I'm sure either you have, and so you've either got someone that you are going to propose to, and so, you know, you're kind of keen to understand like what was that couple's experience like, or you have got a man and time is ticking and you're like, boy, if you don't propose by yesterday, you know? And I just love that this is a space for lover girls and lover boys. Or you're just someone that is just in love with the idea of love and weddings. And I was once that person as well. And I think it's just amazing that everyone has a story. everyone's story is so unique to them and no one can ever take that away from them. What I haven't loved has been vendors, being really mean behind the scenes. And it's like, I didn't realize I had this much power, but I'm going to try my best to use it for good. Obviously, this episode is a goodbye episode for now. So I am going on, let's call it mat leave. So, I'm not really going to be causing chaos for like the next few months, but I don't promise that it's like, I'm going to be quiet forever. One thing I don't like is when people try to silence others, especially when they are speaking their truth or just in general, like, who are you to try and silence me? No, not going to happen. Not on my watch. I don't like injustice. And maybe that's the firstborn daughter in me, the firstborn African daughter. I know you guys can relate to this. Like, when we see injustice, best believe we are speaking up. And I've seen a lot of injustice when it comes to couples. We haven't touched on even videographers not giving their couples their wedding videos back. Photographers also doing the same. We haven't talked about decorators running away. We haven't even spoken about the venues doing shiggy for us with our deposits. So when I see injustice, or when I've seen injustice, how can I just sit back and just like watch? Like, I can't. So anyway, I don't like that. And I don't like the fact that they want to silence me from speaking and allowing others to speak. I also, just upon reflection for myself, I didn't realize that I had this much power I'm still growing. I'm still very, very new. But for some reason, there's always someone throwing shade in my views, in my DMs, like trying to get me to stop. But I just feel like the more you try to make me stop, the more I'm just going to go, the more you're just going to make me go harder, because I feel like I have come into this being very open-minded, being very, very polite, actually, because, I just kind of I don't want all the conversations to be constructive, but I do feel like the more I get poked at, I'm like, actually, you know what? Might as well let the chopper spray. If I'm going to be the bad guy, let me just be the bad guy completely, So that is me and where I'm at with the Bride's Room. So that's what the Bride's Room is. That's what it is. I'm a podcaster, long story short. Like, please don't expect anything more from me. Please do not hold me to this high standard. I am not this self-righteous person. Like, I'm just a girl that likes to just take it how you want. Okay? All right, cool. And so that's the Bride's Room. So we've spoken about who I am. We've spoken about, my experience, my journey. What I also realized as well, like, Christian community have been really, really mean. And you know what, funnily enough, is I often, when I see the really mean comments and then you click on the profile and it's saying, Jesus Christ, our Father, I'm his servant and I'm his child. And it's like, whoa, like, did you just see the paragraph you just wrote about me? Or did you see the DM you just sent to me? And I find it so crazy that Christian community have been the most critical group of people, since the inception of my podcast. I'm not really here for the self-righteousness, because what makes you think that your Christianity is above mine? I believe in marriage. That's why I got married. I believe in God. That's why I chose to get married in front of God. And I don't know why some of you think that your type of Christianity is better than mine. I don't get it. And the fact that you think that you can be nasty and God is still going to look at you and be like, yeah, my child, like, well done. Like, you do realize the same way you're using judgment to pass on to me, God is also judging you too. But anyway, I just feel like you don't need to chill out. You don't need to chill out. And I do feel like the wedding industry historically has been shaped in a way that it caters to a lot of pick-me's, if that's the right word to use. I want to say pick-me's. When I say pick-me's, because I don't like to think of myself as like the conventional bride, like the kind of things that I want. Like, I don't want to be like reserved and calm. And whilst I do like class, there's a cap on that when it comes to enjoyment for me. Like, I don't mind being a little bit raz, like sometimes you just got to let loose and have fun, like sheesh. But I found like the industry only caters to a certain type of babe. And that's why I'm very adamant when it comes to bringing different types of bride. If you have watched my episodes for a long time now, you'll notice that like no two brides are the same. you know, and I'm very intentional about that because I feel like there's been historically a community, a certain caliber of people that have tried to not only gatekeep marriage but gatekeep the wedding industry, and I don't like that. So I just wanted to put that out on the table, lay that on the table, and say that is definitely something that I feel like needs to change. Like I said, I love my community. I love the people that support me, the people that ride for me, the people that DM me, that have so many questions, that are just so excited to get married to their loved one. Like, some of you like love it as much as I do, or even more than I do. And I'm so, so grateful that I have you guys. I'm so grateful that I've been able to rapidly do this, because I genuinely thought that I was going to do all of this like in a 5-year time frame. So to be here, to sit here and be like, okay, well, in the space of 1 year, I have a reach of probably like over 3 million viewers. You know, I have, you know, audiences across the pond, not just in the UK, but America, the rest of Europe, Africa. Like, it is amazing to see it, that my reach goes that far, and even the power that I now have as well. Somehow, you know, I'd be getting vendors from Africa be like, girl, relax. Once again, I'm not doing anything. And I do feel as well, if you have a problem with a guest that comes onto the show, I do feel like you need to reach out to them directly. I do. Ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm just listening. Okay. I'm just a listening pair of ears. And let's be real, like, you guys will not tune in to my show if I wasn't really getting the tea. You know, I'm here to collect. I'm the bone collector. Okay. I just feel like it's nice to be seen and understood. Because at the end of the day, let's not lie, wedding planning can be such a testing time for couples. It can test your relationship, not only with yourself and your spouse, but yourself and God. Test your relationship with family, whether good or bad as well, by the way, because at the end of the day, I always like to think people's intentions come from a good place for the most part, even if people are, okay, let me not say it all the time, but for the most part, like, let's just say parents in their case, a lot of the time when they're fighting you, it's not because they're trying to be up. Let me say, for most people, I do genuinely believe it comes from a place of love. Like, I love you so much, but you're not allowing me to show you that love, and now they just start moving mad. But it's a testing time to get to a point where you can then see eye to eye. And yeah, I just feel like couples really just need that support, you know? But ultimately, yeah, the day, it all comes together so beautifully. And I can't explain to you, like, it's just, I don't know how to explain it. I'm so not good at articulating my words, but I wish I was like one of those poetic people, but it just feels like you go through a machine as one person. And by the time you come out of that machine, you're this new, complete, heavy on the word complete, but completely different person. And for me anyway, and I'll always try and speak from my POV, but I just felt like I just saw the world in a completely different way, like in a completely different light, and just relationships that I thought I would never mend, I did. So let me actually talk about that as well. And it's something that I want to talk about in my future episodes. But one of the key things that actually made me grow up as well, that I found very challenging, was my dad. In the process of planning a wedding, like I said earlier on in this episode at the beginning, I am very much one of those people, you're either with me or you're not. Like, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. And so at the time when I got engaged, I remember when it came to my introduction, or I just even remember just having anxiety about like the role my dad would play when it came to like getting married. And I genuinely thought that he wouldn't be at my white wedding. I genuinely, at that point, I'd thought, I'm done with this man. Like, if I have to go through this process without him, I will never forgive him. Like, what purpose do you then serve in my life after this? And then, so let's park that for a second. But then it got to a point where, like, family members, you know how they are. They're like, oh, he's your dad, he's your father, blah, 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 blah. And I knew that conversation was always going to come up, and it did. And eventually, he's your dad, he's your dad, he's your dad. And I'm like, okay, but I'm the child in this situation. And I'm sure so many people can relate to this. I'm the child in this situation. And it took me... I really don't know. I really, really don't know how I got to a place where somehow I plucked up the courage to call him. And I know, I believe if you don't do certain, if you don't get married in a certain way or have certain family members present or play the role that they need to play, then your marriage is going to be cursed, right? And whilst I am a very much British westernized babe and born and raised in the UK, but my thing is, I didn't want to be the one to like come and I don't want to test it on my marriage. Do you know what I mean? So if it means let me have my dad there, then I'm going to do that so that I can enjoy my marriage. Like, why am I going to let pride and ego get in the way? And rightfully so, it can do. Like, you can be, like, one thing I learned in this process, that you can be justified in making a decision, but at the end of the day, at what cost? A lot of the time, you can actually be right. You can be the victim. You can be the one that's losing out. But in the long game, and I really do believe in delayed gratification, in the long run, who ends up being the winner or loser in this case? So I really had to look at it that way. And eventually, anyway, called him and he was down. Like, he was so excited. He was so happy. And I was like, what? Like, the same man that I had all this anxiety about, he really supported me in the process. I was quite shocked, to be fair. But anyway, that taught me a big lesson. And the lesson that I learned in that case was that you just never know. You could be so adamant and swear on everything that, this person's not going to be there. But when it comes down to it, when it is crunch time, how bad are you? And I thought I was bad, but I wasn't that bad, clearly, because he came and he celebrated with me. So, that was a very big moment where I realized, okay, life, people can come, but people can go, but people can also come back, and people can come and they can go. So it was a very, very interesting time. I learned a lot about myself, but the way I view the world now is just so different. Like, there's a lot of things I just don't let stress me, and I'm always looking more at the outcome rather than how I feel in that moment in time. Like, if I play the long game, am I going to win? And 99% of the time, I do win. So, yeah. And so, anyway, that's me. That's my thoughts. Oh my God, I forgot to just touch on pregnancy, motherhood as well as a whole. Being a podcaster and being a mummy and doing it all in parallel and moving countries has been absolutely wild. It has been insane. But I have loved every moment, and I've loved that, like, I've just been able to be occupied. I've loved that I've been able to talk to so many different people, have so many different laughs, like, do this with like my gang, my husband, my besties, I have loved every moment of it. But the reality is that when you do get married, you're building a family, and we are adding to ours. I've got a baby on the way, and ultimately I got to put my health first. As much as I love talking about this and I love sharing stories and I love just even editing my own episodes and stuff, there's a reality, which is I need to be there for my family as well. I need to be present for my children. And that's the path that I've chosen to take. And it kind of sucks. This is kind of the thing about being a mum as well. You're in a constant cycle of picking, like, do I want to be here or there? Do I want to be this or that? And I'm content with the choice that I've made in terms of like no episodes. I think, you know what, it's even good because then at least everybody will have time to get married and actually enjoy their marriage, and then actually have time to reflect and, get their videos back and all of that good stuff. So I'm not even too worried, to be honest. But my thing is I'm going to go and enjoy being a mum. It's summertime, so hopefully the sun is not shining today, but hopefully the sun is going to be shining lovely in Switzerland by the time my baby boy arrives. So I'm really, really excited. I'm just like so ever so grateful. And the beautiful thing is that, like, I've had a few people come on the pod and they've also had babies as well. And I'm like, wow, like, it's just amazing to just see the natural progression once the wedding is done as well. So yeah, I'm just going to go be a mommy, love on my kids, love on my family, look after my health as well. Because at the end of the day, like, you kind of need to be in a good place to be able to do what it is that I'm doing. So I want to do that, but I'll be back in no time. And trust me, I've been taking it easy because I've been pregnant. I didn't want things to play on my mental health or my well-being, but trust and believe when I come back, best believe I'm not playing. I am not playing no games. Okay. I've never played games anyway, but I'm not going to play any more games when I come back. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. I've already got my lineup for when I come back. And I'm super, super excited to have those conversations, share those conversations, like get into the real tea. And just become more mainstream, because I do feel like historically, like talking about all of these things, it just wasn't cool. Do you know? It just wasn't cool to talk about these things. Like, let's normalize Black love in the process. How about that? So I'm going to go enjoy all of that. Hopefully, when I watch back on this video, it makes sense. It's been a massive brain dump, so hopefully I can make it make sense for you guys. But I am super, 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 super excited to just come back and have some more fun with you guys here on the pod. Oh my God, we didn't even talk about the live show. So because at the time I did my live show 10 months into this podcast, right? And the live show was amazing. Like, I just want to say, first of all, thank you to every single one of you guys that came to the live show, because I couldn't have done it without you guys. I literally couldn't have done it. And it was just the energy on that day where people were just engaging, like whether you're a bride or not, or like people that had been married, like just sharing and being like, why does it cost this? Or why da 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 da? Or like, my friend went to DLT or recess or whatever. And I just loved the dilemmas. The one thing that everybody kept on saying was like, we need more time. But even with my episodes, even if with the show, like, I just feel like we could talk about weddings all day, right? We all love at the end of the day. And I am just so grateful that, you know, people enjoy the conversations with me. I do think that there might be another live show later on this year. If I had the capacity, I definitely will do it, because I do think it's something that is needed. I just love the fact that, like, when the brides would like speak, they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm getting married. I'm a 2024 bride. And everyone would be like, woo, clapping for them and stuff. And I wish I could be celebrated in that way when I was a bride, you know? So it is so beautiful watching people that are going through the process, being celebrated, being seen, being heard, being able to chip in, being able to just listen to other people's opinions that they do or don't know. And yeah, the live show, first of its kind, more to come. So, you know, watch this space, guys. You know, I'm doing big things. I'm doing big things. And I really hope that you guys believe in me, because it is difficult to be in a position where people doubt you, or they're not sure of you, or they've heard things about you. And so they're a bit standoffish. But I ultimately, you know, I do take comfort in the fact that when I have a space like that that's been created and I sell out the show, and there were literally bums on every single seat in the room, how can I be mad? Do you know what I mean? You just got to keep pushing. And that's what I'm going to do. But before I do that, I'm going to just quickly have my baby. I'm going to come back, but just give me some time. Just give me some time to figure it out all again. Like I said, motherhood, it bucked me last year. It's bucked me again this year, you know? Just give me a second to just realign, readjust myself, just gather my thoughts, just, you know, just go through the ghetto-ness of having a baby. There is a reality to it as well. But, you know, I am really, really looking forward to potentially doing another live show this year. So, yeah. Anyway, so, like I said, last time I came to the studio, people actually asked, I put out a Q&A, and people actually asked me questions. So, right. So I'm just going to answer some of the questions that I got a few weeks back. And yeah, guys, enjoy. Like I said, this is my last episode. I actually really want to cry, because I've really enjoyed doing this. Honestly, I don't think you guys actually understand. I think it is a really nerdy thing to enjoy. But for me, this honestly brings me so much joy. But anyway, without wasting too much time, let me get into it. So, first question. Hey, love your pod. How did you decide on +1 and kids at the wedding? So, with my wedding, I know some of you know, but I'm always just going to talk like I have new people watching. And so with my wedding process, I had two main weddings, which was my trad and my wet wedding, which is not unheard of for our demographic, right? But for my trad, what did we do? So we did say no kids, but we come from quite big families that have people with kids. And so I wasn't naive to think that kids wouldn't come. They came. And to be fair, they were very helpful. They actually helped us collect the money and put them in the bag. So, I wasn't mad at that. I wasn't mad. But we did on the website, like in terms of limiting the number of kids that came to the wedding, it was very clear on like the wedding website and on invitations, just saying no kids allowed. When having conversations with people, we weren't given that impression that, there's going to be loads of kids. It wasn't that. However, in the back of my mind, I knew that just naturally being here in the UK, it was inevitable that there were going to be kids. So there were kids. I won't lie to you. There will always be one or two people that will still bring their child. It is what it is. And they're there to celebrate with you. And now I'm a mum as well. Like, come on, they're kids, So long as they can pattern their kids and the kids aren't dancing on the dance floor when you're having your first dance, I'm not mad at that personally. For my white wedding, it was very much more easier to navigate. And so there was only one child, which was my husband's niece, and she was our flower girl. It's so much more easier to regulate. If you really, really, really are big on not having kids, I would strongly recommend having a destination wedding because it takes a lot of effort to get there. And especially where people make it a holiday, usually people are going to want to make it a holiday for themselves. They're not really going to want to bring kids on that kind of holiday. So yeah. That's how we managed it. And I hope that answers your question and I hope that helps. Second question. So how do you select duties for bridesmaids? Mine are beefing and I've had enough. Oh God. Bridesmaids. Hey, we talk about you guys every episode without fail. Bridesmaids always come up. How do you select duties for bridesmaids? So first things first, I don't know if I've said this before, but in my process, I'm just trying to think, how did I select duties? I did select it based on who was closest to me at the time. But you know what? Now looking back, I think I would have selected it. I would have allocated roles based on strengths, rather than how close a person is, because somebody could be close to you, but they might not be the most organized. And your bridal shower or your hen do might require someone with very strong organizational skills, for example. But in order to limit the beef, I have found that whatever the bride says goes. So I think it's always good for you to kind of make it clear to like the group. And even what my best friend's is doing now with her wedding, she's made it very clear who's responsible for what. So you can't really argue with the brides, can you? I think when everything is kind of just like left open for interpretation, I think that's when, or assumptions are made, I think that's when the beef kicks in. Fortunately for me, I didn't have much bridesmaids beef, so I don't think I can speak heavily on that. But what I can say, just as a human being and someone that doesn't like to really cause too much like rift between my friends, is just making it very crystal clear who is responsible for what and who to come for what as well. If there are any issues, who should they come to? And in theory, they should come to you as the bride. Ideally, you kind of want them to not beef, but I think that's probably the best way to limit beef, in my opinion. Comment down below if you have any tips on how to manage bridesmaids beef. How did you find asking family for financial support for the wedding? Oh my God, baby. You know what? That was one of the hardest parts of planning a wedding for me as well, was asking for financial support. So I am the firstborn. Not only am I the firstborn in my family, but I am the firstborn girl on my mum's side of the family, and then I am the firstborn child on my dad's side of the family, which meant that like I don't even have like, and then on my mum's side I have a cousin, but he's 6 months older, so it's not really that older, right? And so what that has meant for me is that like I've had to just push through by myself with a lot of things financially just in my life before getting married. Now, when it came to the wedding, I have found it very hard because naturally when you're used to being in that position, it is extremely, extremely hard to ask for help. But what I would say, I was very fortunate enough to have a mother in particular that was very forthcoming and like, no, it's cool, I got you. And surprisingly, you know what? One thing I realized is that when you choose to get married, it's almost like your parents have always had like this secret pot of money that they've just kept aside for your wedding. I don't know if anyone else can relate, but I felt like, whoa, since when did you have all this money? Do you know what I mean? Like, I felt like my mom had been saving her whole life, and just had this magical pot of money. Given though it was a pandemic, and I do feel like everybody was up them times because we were going nowhere. So I will mention that, but I do feel like, to answer the question, how did I ask for financial support? So it got to the end where I was pushed, and I just had to have an honest conversation and be like, will you contribute? And to be fair, a lot of the answers were no, which was crushing at the time. It was kind of like, I honestly wanted the ground to open up and swallow me, but it's better to get a no than to just sit there in silence, because at the end of the day, we know how financial pressures can actually impact people in a very negative way sometimes as well, if not managed correctly. So it was tough. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, like I asked and like, this person gave me like 10K. No, it's really, really hard. And unfortunately, especially in the economy that we're in right now, I can imagine it being even tougher for people. And I guess when people say cut your coat according to your size, I think that saying is really, really, really annoying, because people are trying, but if the prices in the industry are against you, what can you do? You're not going to get married, are you? So yeah, I asked and I did get some help here and there, but for the most part, God provided. And if you really get pushed and family aren't able to support, then I guess it comes down to having an honest conversation with your vendors, which is something that I did eventually with some of my vendors. But yeah, hope that helps. When is your next event? So like I said, I definitely am considering having another event, but as I mentioned, baby number 2 is here. So, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to see how I feel before I return. And when I return, I am hoping, should I have another event, it will be towards the end of this year. But let's give it some time and let's see. But if not, if I don't have one this year, it will be early next year. But it will be soon. Before you know it, we'll be back with another live show. But thank you for asking, and I hope you do grab a ticket when the tickets do drop. Someone asked, how did you pick your caterer? What factors did you consider? So with catering, that was the one area that I personally was blessed with for the traditional wedding. So I didn't actually have to consider anything, because for me, it honestly got to a point where it's like, I will just take anything at this point. So long as we can feed the guests, I'm not fussed. But I did trust my mum. She is very, very good with just picking things anyway when it comes to like the food department. So I wasn't too worried. But the one thing I think we're quite big on as a family is like how the food is presented, what it tastes like, and what cuisine. Those were the 3 main factors. For the white wedding in Greece, I opted for a buffet option. But to be fair, why did we do the buffet option? I think that was just what fitted within our budget, I don't think it was because there wasn't a formula to it. It wasn't like, oh my God. In an ideal world, I would have loved to have like a 5-course meal and this and that. But at the time, I just didn't know any better. And at the same time as well, I just did what worked for our budget. And I felt like a buffet, it looked good. It sounded good. And I wasn't too sure about Greek food as well, to be fair. So I didn't want to like spend all this money and not know what the food tastes like, because I didn't visit my venue. So I just opted for the most reasonable option. I don't want to say cheap, but the most reasonable option. And that was buffet. But I think it worked out really, really well in the end, because the food was unlimited, the drink was unlimited, everything was just unlimited. It was great. Like 10 out of 10 when it comes to Greek food. But yeah, that's how we went about it. Someone asked, how do you navigate through family politics during the wedding process? Whew. A topic that I have not even scratched the surface with yet, but how did I deal with family politics? I think the easiest way to have dealt with family politics was to know your capacity. Know what is your remit. when I say that, like, there'll be certain people where, like, I know, okay, this particular auntie or uncle has the potential to be problematic or whatever, and I don't necessarily want to deal with that. So when it came to managing family, it was very much like my mum would manage the elders. I don't want to call them adults because I'm an adult myself, but she would manage the elders of the family, and I would manage like the younger people, the people that are close in age with me. And I found that formula worked for the most part. Obviously, family is still going to be family. So there's always going to be someone that has an issue, but at least knowing that, okay, if when somebody pops up with, oh, why didn't you do that? I'll be like, oh, can you just speak to my mum? And my mum would handle it. Do you know what I mean? Likewise as well, should they be like, oh, I heard. Likewise, if information was spreading around between myself and my cousins or whatever, my mum would be like, well, that's her decision to make. She's the bride, you know? And I found that formula worked. But when things did kick off, because I'm not going to sit here and lie and pretend like things didn't kick off, things did kick off. It was just straight up ignore it. Like, one thing about me, if you haven't gathered by now, I am the queen of just like moving on. Like, if I just don't feel like something deserves my energy, I'm just not going to give it my energy, because I always feel like that is the devil trying to distract you from the bigger picture. The bigger picture right now is that I'm trying to have the most amazing wedding. If I feed into this negative energy down here, I'm not going to be able to achieve my big picture, and I'm trying to get over here, not stay down here. So focus on the bigger picture. At the end of the day, what I would say is focus on the bigger picture, which is your wedding day. Don't let nothing get in the way of you achieving that goal, because the moment you do, you are giving the devil a chance to win. And we're not going to let the devil win. Why? Why let the devil win? Why let your enemies win? It just doesn't make sense to me. So, that's how I personally manage family politics. That's how I navigated through it all. People will still not be happy with the way you move, even if you choose peace. Even if you choose chaos, they're still not going to be happy. At the end of the day, if people are not happy when it comes to you doing anything wedding related, there's nothing you can do. Let me be real. Let me keep it 100. Let me keep it a buck. You could have done nothing and still be seen as a bad person. If people want to see you as a bad person, they're going to see you as a bad person. There's nothing you can really do. So just make peace with it and just focus, tunnel vision. Yeah. So then the next question was, did you use a Greek wedding planner for your wedding? And why did I ask the question like that? I'm going to ask again. Did you use a Greek wedding planner for your wedding? So no, I didn't. But what we had was, we just had like what was she? She wasn't a wedding planner, but she was the person responsible for taking wedding bookings. So yeah, to answer the question, no, we didn't have a person in Greece, but looking back, even though we had 50 people, I would recommend, I think it is okay to have a wedding planner out there actually. Before, I used to think you had to fly all your vendors out from the UK to, the rest of the European countries, but I think they're quite used to us like us Africans, Caribbeans, us blacks. They're quite used to us flying out there now, that I do think it is safe enough for us to use their services when it comes to like coordination. Even from what I've seen, videography and photography, I think we can even go as far as saying that now. And it saves you a lot of money if you do that. It is something that I wish I did do, but at the same time, I was just under so much pressure at one point in my wedding planning that I just wanted to get married. So it just got to a point, it's like, so long as I can have the day here in the UK and there in Greece, I don't care what anything looks like. I don't care what the decor looks like. I don't care what the food tastes like. I just want to get married and start my life. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of you that can relate to that feeling, which is just like, let's just get this over and done with, But yeah, I didn't use a Greek planner. Would I recommend one? Yes, I would actually. If you are having especially if you're having, especially if you're any number, to be honest, any number, I do think it deserves a Greek planner, but a Greek planner that understands African or Caribbean culture, that is comfortable working with our people. What things did your maid of honor do to make the lead up to your wedding easier? So I am one of those brides that I had a maid of honor, but my maid of honor was my baby sister. And if you know the age gap between myself and my baby sister is a good 7 years. So at the time when I was getting married, she was just completing her 3rd year of uni. And she was doing a law degree. So for her, it was like, there's barely anything that, not that she couldn't contribute. Of course, she's my sister, so she could do amazing, and she did do amazing. But in terms of like leading and really being like, you know, guys, this is what we're going for the hen do. Guys, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to like. I didn't expect that from her because she was a baby, and I didn't expect it from her because she was studying, like she's a student. Like there's bigger fish to fry right now, not just like my wedding. So, but however, I am now in a position where now I am matron of honor for my best friend. And so I can talk about the things that I am doing to make her life easier. So even though she doesn't know it, I'm going to share it, and hopefully she doesn't watch this episode. But if she does, I don't think it's going to ruin anything anyway. But I, for example, just being really proactive, you know, sometimes having to make certain decisions and just take the lead with the group of girls that are also bridesmaids. Sorry, excuse me. With the group of girls that are also bridesmaids, it's about being proactive. It's about you're not always going to be liked is the one thing that I've learned. And I can't wait to reflect on this process, because I actually, now that I am in like the bridesmaids category and no longer the bride category, woo, ciao, guys. I knew you guys said that it was ghetto. I just didn't know it was this ghetto, but that's cool. I'm okay with, you know, being in certain positions where a little bit of uncomfortableness doesn't hurt anybody, you know. But to make the bride's life easier, it's always about reminding everybody why we're here, right? And telling them that, like, you know, this is to make this person happy. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about her. But I created a budget tracker so we can keep track of all of our finances. I have just checked in, just every time you engage with a bride, just being a good source of energy as well, because sometimes the girl can be drained, you know? And I think it's good to just like be proactive. But actually, if I look back at even my own process, even though my baby sister was the maid of honor and she wasn't able to financially contribute at no fault of her own, my 2 best friends basically still acted, and even my cousin still acted like chief bridesmaids and maid of honors. And the things that they did was they were like my eyes where my eyes were not able to go, if that makes sense. So little things like when it came to the trad, they were very particular on how they were going to collect the dollars that were being sprayed onto myself and Leslie. They were very hands-on with like the bridesmaids when it came to like the rota of like who's going to do what makeup and when and where. They were very, very much just proactive. Like if they just saw the ball was being dropped somewhere, they didn't wait for me to be like, oh, Aisha, do you want me to do this? They just did it. And that was, for me, I was so grateful for. So I think that's one way to make a bride life easier, which is to just, if you see that something's not being done, just plug that hole if you can, where you can. And then last question, is there any vendor that you would change if you could do it again? So now looking back, is there any vendor that I wish I could change? That is a really good question. And the answer to that, I would actually say my wedding dress vendor. And not because she was bad. She was so lovely, this lovely lady. But I think I was only able to pick my wedding dress because of the pandemic. The pandemic drove me to make certain decisions because I wasn't able to see any dresses. I wasn't able to try on any dresses. I kind of just like walked in the shop. I was like, how much is that dress? I'll buy it. I'll take it. Let's go. So I do wish that I could have changed that experience. That's the one experience that I could have changed, but no fault of the dress designers at all. And yeah. But it has been a lovely episode, guys. And I am coming to the point where like I do now have to wrap up and call it a day. But I just want to say thank you to everyone that has tuned into the Brides Room, everyone that has believed in me, everyone that has DM'd me and showed me mad love, mad support, people that have like literally like screamed from the top of the hills about myself and my podcast. Like I am so grateful because as you can see, this is my baby. And it has been a roller coaster of a journey. Like it has been tough to like put yourself in the public eye. You know, I used to be one of those people that'd be like, oh my God, like when I used to see other like podcasters get dragged online, I'd be like, oh my God, I could never do that. I could never be in that position. But no, here I am being in that position, not necessarily being dragged, but more so just being under the limelight and having comments and people giving their opinions on what you are doing right and what you're doing wrong and what they think you should do and what they think you shouldn't do. And, you know, just having all of these opinions, it's been interesting, but I am just so grateful. I'm so grateful that I've come this far. I'm so happy that I'm going to have a baby with the love of my life, or the loves of my life, because I have my baby girl as well that's already here. And now I've got like 3 heartbeats. And it's just a blessing. It's a blessing to be here. But what to expect next? So before I end, look out for Groom's Room. Man, the men have been in the views. The men have been in the DMs. You know, the men, I know you want to know it all because I know you got a girl she is sitting on your neck and she's not playing no games. So content-wise, don't worry. Leslie has got you covered whilst I'm on maternity leave. And we're still trying to figure that out. We're still trying to hash that out. And I do hope we can pump out those episodes whilst I'm away. But if not, Groom's Room is going to come, and it's going to come at some point. It's going to be sick. I promise you. But, and for the time being, just enjoy the current episodes. I'll try and post on Instagram where I can, but I really just want to take this time out for me and my family, and my health ultimately as well, because I can say it now because this episode is not going to come out until baby's here, but I am going to be having another C-section. And so what that means is I'm not going to be able to like walk or do a lot of things. And that is just going to take that's a whole process in itself. It's a major, major surgery. And yeah, but the content's going to be dope. I've got a lot more actually up my sleeve as well, but in due time that will be revealed as well. Being able to like capitalize and work with brands as well, like the fact that brands are reaching out to me, paying me money, I'm like, oh, okay, hello. So initially I didn't start this to make money, but I'm not mad that, you know, I'm always going to be someone that's going to focus on getting to the bag. You're never going to distract me from getting to the bag. So that is me. This year I worked like rent was due. Hey, I worked. And those of you that follow me, you know I worked. I tried as a pregnant lady as well. So yeah. What else? Episodes went viral. We talk about decor, we talk about dress designers, and they just get so touchy. Like, why is everyone so touchy? Like, it's okay to have bad customer feedback. That doesn't mean you're going to get cancelled. It's okay for someone to share their experience and you not agree. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. And I really do want everyone to come out of that mindset. Like, yeah. And furthermore, you don't have to be in the wedding industry if you don't like that kind of criticism, because at the end of the day, we can't be having IG hairstylist level type of service, but paying Gucci prices. Something's got to give. So if you're okay with taking the Gucci money, then you need to be okay with the feedback. You know, it's fine. But yeah, I think I'm just rambling on now, but I'm really, really grateful for everything. I'm blessed to be in this position. I've seen a bit of plagiarism, I'm not going to lie, here and there, but it's fine. It's fine. It's only one authentic Aisha, so you can have it. You guys can take it. But ultimately, a pause, not an end of the era, but a pause in what has been such an amazing journey. But it's time for me to go. It's time for me to go home, go relax. What you can do is follow me on Instagram, follow me on my personal page, because I will probably still be out here just living my life, you know, living my best Swiss life. So follow me on my journey. But I'm going home today. My husband is coming to collect me. He said, child, wrap it up. It's enough now. I am 8 months heavy. Yeah. And yeah, I got to just sign out and log off. But I didn't even know I could talk for this long. So that's actually crazy that I've spoken for this long. I've had this long episode. And yeah, I'm excited to see what the future brings. But guys, I just want to say thank you for tuning into the Brides Room once again. I'm signing out. Thank you for all the love. I'm just going to assume that there's so much love coming to me right now because I would have posted on my birthday and everyone would be like, oh my God, baby. So I just want to say thank you for all the love. For me, myself, baby, we are healthy. We are blessed. And we will see you soon. We will see you soon. I'll be back sooner than you think. So enjoy summer, enjoy the weddings. Can I also add as well that one thing as well that I am so grateful as well is that I've been to at least 4 weddings this year and every single one of them has slapped. And I do believe that that is because we are now talking about the standards in the industry. And for me, that is the one thing that I take pride in. And that is the one thing that will continue to allow me to keep pushing for this platform, because at the end of the day, people deserve to have the day that they dreamt of. And I do feel like every couple that I've seen this year celebrate love has had the day that they wanted, the day that they dreamt of. But I could be wrong. And in September, let's see what they have to say. But for now, it seems that way. So, you know, but yeah, until then, I'm going to sign out. I'm going to let you guys see baby as well. So 1 second. Baby. Ooh. Pregnancy anyway. Pregnancy bump. Got a baby. Yeah. So until next time, bye guys. See ya.